Hello, my name is Matthew, and I just finished reading Pierre et Jean by Guy de Maupassant, and I was reading this with my French friend. She's reading it in the original, and I'm reading an English translation by Julie Mead, and um, it's set in the coast of France, Normandy. I think the town is Le Havre, however you say that. And it's the story of a family um, involved in a particular incident. And straight away, Maupassant describes all of the family members and how they all interact with each other, and you get a great sense of the family dynamic as a whole. They're on a fishing trip, so they're all on a boat, and they're there along with another woman. Her name is Rosemary, and she's described as a young woman who very early on lost her husband. So she's, I think, maybe 20 and alone. And you just get this great portrait of the family as a whole. The older brother has dark features and he's impassioned, and the younger brother has light features and is maybe a little bit more sensible. Um, the mother is motherly, and the father is almost like a 1950s sitcom dad. Um, the book begins with him going blast because he's not catching any fish, and even he goes, "That's what you get for bringing women on the boat." And then he his wife gives him a look, and he apologizes. I didn't mean to say that. Little things like that where you get such a great sense of who he is as a character, and then also his relationship with his wife. In any event, um, they get back from their fishing expedition, and they are told that there was someone at the house trying to see them, and that the person had come 3 times, and they're kind of in a fuss, and the messenger finally comes back, or the lawyer or whomever, and says that the husband and wife, mother and father, their old friend from Paris has died, and he left a will, and he's rich, and he's leaving his entire inheritance to just the younger brother, Jean. This sets off the rest of the story. And what happens is you follow the mind of each character for a period of the book. At first, the father's thrilled. He goes, "Well, that's great. What a good friend." The mother is saying, "Well, he was always very good to the family." Jean, the inheritor, is kind of confused. Pierre, the older brother who was left nothing, is reeling, and he leaves. He has to go on a walk to clear his head, trying to figure out what just happened. The younger brother is getting an inheritance, and you spend time in his mind, and it might seem as if he's being selfish, but it's those self-contained thoughts about yourself that everybody has. And what's great is, like I said, he's impassioned. My French friend said impetuous. So as new ideas come into his head, and those ideas change his emotions, he has a very difficult time in his behavior hiding those emotions. So he's emotive. In any event, he goes to visit his chemist friend who makes concoctions and tells this to him. He goes, we had a friend in Paris, a friend of the family's, and he died, and he left his entire fortune to my younger brother. And the chemist says, well, that's not going to look good. And Pierre goes, what do you mean by that? He goes, nothing. Later on, he's talking to a barmaid. He goes through this whole thing again. Younger brother's given the entire inheritance. And the barmaid goes, that's why you two don't look alike. And it hits him, this idea that maybe his mother had an affair. Maybe this isn't his whole brother. Maybe this is his half brother, and it just like knocks the socks off him. And he's like enwrapped in, not just enraged, but confused. His world has been turned upside down. And Maupassant goes through this whole range of complicated emotions that, believably, that one might go through with such a watershed notion. Finally, there's a conflict. Him and his brother go at it. The mother, and so what I was saying before, you spend time with each character. You move on to spend time with Jean and to see how he's taking it, seemingly taking everything in stride, and he's thinking about not only his future, but his obligations to his family, and just very sensible things like that. And they're having like family dinners, and it's celebratory, except now for his older brother, who seems to be behaving rudely. And it's as if people are looking at him as if he is jealous. And he is, but not just jealous. There's a whole swirl of things that he's thinking about. The shame that it's putting on the family, and how is it going to look, and what is the public perception, and things like that. I don't want to spoil how it kind of wraps up, because it's a book that it's just so fantastic. I recommend it. But a few other things that just struck my fancy. There's a moment where the mother is getting ashen and sickly and wobbly and weak, and the father sees this and says to his son, who is, I don't know if I mentioned this, the son's a doctor. Pierre is a doctor. Jean is a lawyer. He goes, like, Pierre, your mother's sick. And he goes, what are you talking about? And he goes, what kind of doctor are you when you can't tell that your own mother is unwell? And he even says, he goes, she could drop dead and you wouldn't be able to tell. It's just so, like, classically, like, abrasive and father-like in a really interesting way. And in a lot of ways, the father became a character that I was fascinated with. And the reason is, like I've mentioned a few times now already, is that you spend time in the minds of each character, but not the father. He's the one character that you don't spend any time with. And in a way, it's equally revealing. he's just like this guy. He goes fishing, doesn't catch any fish, and he goes, ah, blast. There's an inheritance. His only one brother, only one son is getting a huge fortune. He goes, ah, great. Wife's sick. Goes, ah, you know, hey, if you're a doctor, help her. Things like that. Like, he's just sort of like this oblivious guy that just goes like, oh, that was good, that was bad. I just see him. I say him how I see him, or whatever that phrase is. And that's it. I guess I won't go on and on. And it's just wonderfully written. Huge recommendation. I do like the idea of doing a Maupassant Monday. So this is my first Maupassant Monday. I might not do it every week, but on occasion, I think it would be fun. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you've read Pierre at Jean. I was purposely being vague. Let me know if you read Maupassant. Leave a comment if you would like. And thank you for watching.